Being a dad is like nothing else. It is totally unique. It brings out emotions and shows sides of you that you didn't even know you had. There's new dad books and there's new dad videos that provide advice and tips. Even this channel has a ton of videos that I hope are really helpful for you. But I wanted to do a video that was a little bit more raw and discussed some of the truths.
I want the truth!
And cover things about being a new dad that just aren't talked about. Hopefully you'll get a little bit more insight on what it's really like to be a new dad. Hey guys, I'm Jason Kreidman and welcome to another episode of Dad University. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click on that notification bell so you know when our videos are uploaded. Also, it really helps us spread our message when you share these videos. So maybe you know a couple people that might enjoy it, please share it with them. These truths are all things that I experienced as a new dad. I think they're pretty common, they just aren't talked about very much. Number one, you will worry about things that don't matter. Keep this in mind as you're going through the pregnancy and you start buying things that you don't need. You'll still start worrying about them. Or it's going to be your child's second birthday and you are worried about the fact that you can't make it special enough, that you're somehow letting your child down. These are the types of things you start worrying about that you never even thought of before. If you are someone who worries, you're gonna wanna be aware of this as you become a new dad. There are so many things to worry about. You worry about their safety, their growth, their health, their eating, their sleeping, them going to the bathroom. Just the potential list of things that you can worry about is endless. However, most of these things kind of work themselves out, or we make such a big deal about them and worry about them. My suggestion is that when you feel yourself beginning to worry, catch it. And then ask yourself, is this really important? Is this something that I really need to worry about? You can even pretend you have like a worry bucket. And there's only so much stuff that can fit in your worry bucket. So you ask yourself again, does this warrant going in my worry bucket? Usually the answer is no. Number two, you will feel like you can't do it. You might be the most confident guy in the world in other areas of your life, but there's something about becoming a new dad that just makes us feel sometimes like we're not good enough or that we are not being a good dad. While this is all in your head, it feels very real. You are tired, stressed, and experiencing things that you've never experienced before. And as a result, you don't know how to handle a lot of the situations. There just isn't an instruction manual for this stuff. Even though Dad University is pretty close to an instruction manual. I don't know about you, but I'm a guy who likes to have answers. And when I don't have answers, I get really frustrated. And that's what it's like as a new dad, especially in the beginning. There are so many situations in which you just don't have the answers. And as a result, you will feel like you just can't do it, but you can. Number three, marriage is hard when they are young. So think about it. Before you're a new dad, it's just the two of you and you could focus on each other. So you add a child, and then now all of a sudden you both are responsible for another human being. And this little human being relies on you both for everything. When you're both focused on the needs of the child, or even if one is primarily focused on the needs of the child and the other one's focused on finances, it can make it difficult to focus and provide attention to each other. You mix in the additional responsibilities of a child and that lack of attention, it is hard for both of you. Now, if you know that going in and you're able to make some time for each other, you're able to provide each other empathy and look at the situation from the other person's perspective, the marriage can be solid. Now, it's not an easy road, but you can certainly be stronger on the other side. Number four, your gut is not always right. We don't have a ton of information when we're new dads. So as a result, we often will go by our gut or what we think is the best way to handle a situation. And as it turns out, our gut actually isn't that great at doing it. I learned this firsthand when I was taking parenting classes when my children were really young. And I realized all of these situations that I was doing, I was doing it based on what I thought was a good idea. And it turns out that there were better ways to handle these situations. I had good parents, so I thought I knew what I was doing. Yet I was getting stressed all the time and angry in so many situations. And as it turned out, when I learned all of these parenting techniques, I realized that my gut actually wasn't that great. There was a lot better way to handle these situations. It doesn't mean you can't use your gut as a new dad, but just be aware that there are other ways to handle situations that are different from what you think is the optimal way. There's typically multiple options for handling situations and problems, so it's good to learn those options. Number 5, you will forget that your child is still learning. You may think you've got a baby genius on your hands, but regardless of how smart your child is when you're a new dad, they are still learning. You think that something's ingrained in their head, but it's not. They are constantly learning and constantly absorbing, but it doesn't mean that it has stuck yet. All right, here's an example. Your child has a night routine and they do it 20 times in a row, or forget it, a couple hundred times in a row. They will not remember everything all the time. You have to adjust your expectations. Otherwise, you will drive yourself crazy. You think that they should remember, and they probably should, but they don't. Things take time, things take repetition. You're going to have to adjust your expectations with that. Sure, there may be better ways of teaching them, but their brains are still developing. In the big scheme of things, they know very little. You will have to say the same thing over and over and over and over again. Number 6, you will start to think about your legacy. Legacy is the mark that you're going to leave. It's the impact that you will have when you are gone. Whether it's with your family, your community, or even the world. I never started thinking about legacy until after I was a new dad and my first child was born. I began to evaluate my profession, my impact on my family, and the world around me. My first thoughts of legacy were really the basis of why I started Dad University. What impact am I going to make on the world? How am I going to be remembered? You really don't think about your legacy before you're a new dad. Maybe some people do, but I sure didn't. But when your child comes into this world, you start looking at the world around your child and thinking about how can I impact that world? And all of a sudden, your legacy starts to matter. Number 7, you will have happy tears. A lot. You may not be an emotional guy. You may not even be someone who has cried at all or very little. But as a new dad, you will cry. Granted, there'll probably be happy tears, but it's still crying nonetheless. Don't try to say that it's not crying, because it is. Whether it's the birth of your child, the first time they say dad, or the first time they walk, maybe they'll make a card for you at school, or it'll just be some random time when you come home from work and they run into your arms. I promise you will shed a tear. Now, don't hold back those tears. Showing that emotion is good for you and them, especially when they're happy tears. There's something strange that happens when you have a child. You experience and feel all of these emotions that you have never experienced before. It's pretty cool. Number 8, you didn't realize you could love something so much. Sure, your first car was incredible, and you might have tremendous love for your wife, but the love that you have for your child is just different. It is an incredible and powerful feeling. It's like those moments with the happy tears. You just can't believe how much you love this child. You want to protect them and do things for them and just love them. Sometimes just sitting next to them and doing nothing is enough. You love them that much. Yes, there are tough times and frustrations and anger and all of the emotions in between. But the truth is that being a dad is an amazing experience. You get to learn so much. You get to teach so much. And we can talk about it quite a bit, but until you experience it, it is really hard to understand. Just remember to enjoy the journey. I would love to hear from you. Are you a new dad? How is it going so far? Leave your feedback in the comment section below. If you found this video helpful, you don't want to miss what we have for you in our other videos. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click on that notification bell. Also, if you know anybody that might enjoy this video, please share it with them. We'll see you next time.